1, 2, 3.
Tonight, the power of nature unleashed. Deadly storms, including tornadoes, rip across America's midsection. And there are warnings of more to come. I'm Couric. Also tonight, President Obama unplugged.
I said, you want to repeal health care? You're not going to be able to do that by nickel and diming me in the budget. You think we're stupid?
Donald Trump unscripted.
I have a great relationship with the blacks.
Is he talking his way out of the presidential race before he's even in? And is the search for perfect hair putting women's health at risk?
From CBS News World Headquarters in New York, this is the CBS Evening News with Couric.
Good evening, everyone. A dangerous storm is moving across the middle of the country tonight. A mix of thunderstorms and tornadoes blamed already for at least 9 deaths. This powerful storm was produced by a collision of weather fronts, and the result is destruction across much of the South. At one point today, tornado watches were up across 8 states, and as many as 30 twisters were spotted, including this one in Jackson, Mississippi. You can see flashes as the tornado rips down electric power lines. CBS News has reporters all across the region tonight, and we begin in Arkansas.
I'm BJ Steed in Bald Knob, Arkansas, about 60 miles northeast of Little Rock, one of the several places hit hard by overnight storms. Here, claiming the life of a 6-year-old child as he slept inside his home behind me. Authorities say that this massive oak tree was no match for high velocity winds. You can see here the debris still there. You can see up where it actually went through the house. Now I'll bring you over here. The home has been deemed unsafe, so I can't bring you all the way back there, but you can see all the debris still scattered there. This brings the death toll up to 7 here in Arkansas, and family hesitant to talk to media today given the situation.
I'm Jacqueline Sitt in Tushka, Oklahoma, where only mounds of cinder blocks and rubble remain here at the Tushka Public School Complex. 7 buildings, including the elementary, middle, and high schools, were flattened.
It's multiple tornadoes. Look.
When as many as 3 twisters ripped through this town of about 400 at dinner time last night, buildings and homes along an estimated 7-mile path were left in shreds. At least 2 people are dead.
The house was over there, now it's right here. It's just unreal. I've never seen anything like this before.
Today, homeowners picked up through the wreckage, looking for anything to salvage. Under a pile of debris, the Eldridge family cited a miracle. Their pet dog, aptly named Miracle, was found. After a deadly and frightening 24 hours here, lots of people looking for miracles in Oklahoma tonight. At least 10,000 are still without power.
I'm Randall Pinkston in Clinton, Mississippi. Behind me, an 18-wheeler tossed by the winds like a toy earlier today. The driver somehow survived.
Hey, stay on it, stay on it.
Earlier, storm chasers captured these dramatic images of a tornado touching down west of Jackson, one of the hardest hit areas in the state. Cars and trucks flipped over, businesses and homes ripped apart, downed trees knocking out power for thousands. Residents heeded early warnings.
They told us to take cover, and I went in the bathroom here and shut the door, and the roof all fell on my head.
So far, no one is reported killed. Another driver traveling near here says her pickup truck was also lifted up. She said, "My life flashed before my eyes." A storm to remember.
This weather system is moving east tonight, set to bring a weekend of potentially damaging storms up and down the coast and through the Tennessee Valley. Don Teague is in Darden, Tennessee tonight. Don, the weather has been especially violent this season.
It's really been terrible, Katie. It has been an active and violent spring tornado season. Severe thunderstorms and tornadoes have caused, as we've seen, death and damage to property like this barn. And this latest outbreak has been especially dangerous and widespread.
Meteorologists say the cause of today's tornado outbreak is cold, dry air pushing east from the Midwest, colliding with warm, moist air from the Gulf of Mexico. The result, a moving line of dangerous storms.
Last year we got a slow start because the Gulf of Mexico was very cool. This year it's warm and more humid down there, and the humidity and the heat's just coming northward, and that's what's causing a lot of tornadoes.
Spring through early summer is prime tornado season in the U.S. On average, April sees 163 tornadoes. But this April is only half over, and we've already had nearly 160 tornadoes.
This year, it's so deadly because the tornadoes are developing in very populated areas.
Those in the path of tornadoes today usually have more warning than ever before. Meteorologists can often find and track tornadoes by radar signatures alone, even at night when people in their paths can't see them.
Oh, man.
Still, the unpredictable nature of tornadoes will always put people and property at risk. Don Teague, CBS News, Darden, Tennessee.
Now to politics. We got some new insight into how President Obama sees the budget battle that just ended and the new one that's just getting underway. The president was speaking privately about the Republican opposition, apparently unaware that one reporter, our Mark Knoller, was listening. Chip Reed has the story.
Hello, Chicago!
President Obama was in his hometown Thursday night for the first fundraisers of his re-election campaign. At this restaurant, after reporters left the room, he told supporters about last week's bitter negotiations with Republicans on the budget, unaware that the microphone was still on.
I said, you want to repeal health care? Go at it. We'll have that debate. You're not going to be able to do that by nickel and diming me in the budget. You think we're stupid?
Back at the White House, Mark Knoller of CBS News was working late and recorded the president as he lashed out at Republicans John Boehner and Mitch McConnell for trying to include social issues like abortion in the budget.
We're happy to have the debate. We'll have the debate on the floor of the Senate or the floor of the House. Put it in a separate bill. We'll call it up. And if you think you can overturn my veto, try it. But don't try to sneak this through.
But he saved his harshest comments for Congressman Paul Ryan, author of the Republican budget bill.
So when Paul Ryan says his priority is to make sure that we're, he's just being America's accountant and, trying to, be responsible. I mean, this is the same guy who voted for 2 wars that were unpaid for, voted for the Bush tax cuts that were unpaid for, voted for the prescription drug bill that cost as much as my health care bill but wasn't paid for. So it's not on the level.
White House officials say the president has no regrets about anything he said. As for Republicans, they're dismissing the comments as campaign talk. Katie?
Chip Reed at the White House tonight. Chip, thank you. And by the way, Congressman Ryan will be Bob Schieffer's guest this Sunday on Face the Nation. Ryan's controversial budget plan passed the Republican-controlled House today. Congressional correspondent Nancy Cortez has more on that.
The yeas are 235 and the nays are 193.
All but 4 House Republicans voted yes on a budget plan the GOP claims will rescue Medicare.
And it's time that we got serious.
And Democrats say destroys it.
Ends Medicare, throws seniors to the wolves.
The plan, devised by House Budget Chair Paul Ryan, would cap Medicaid, slash domestic spending, and convert Medicare from government insurance into subsidies seniors could use to buy private coverage. It would also cut the tax rate for the wealthy from 35% to 25%.
We save Medicare, prevent its bankruptcy, and what does the other side do? They sit by and watch the program go bankrupt.
The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office determined that the GOP proposal would leave the typical senior responsible for 68% of their own health insurance costs by the year 2030.
If you make over $1 million, you win the lottery. If you're a senior citizen, you lose your Medicare.
The rise of the Tea Party has forced both sides to confront a looming debt crisis. The nation already borrows 40 cents for every dollar it spends.
At some point, credit markets will lose faith in the U.S., and we have seen this happen in other countries, in Greece and Ireland.
But some Republicans quietly worry their Medicare plan leaves them vulnerable to the same kinds of ads they ran against Democrats over health care reform.
Sestak voted to gut Medicare.
What's tough for Republicans is they have to take a vote now on a politically risky Medicare plan that's not likely to go anywhere. So they're stuck with all of the downside and none of the upside of being able to say, hey, we improved the system.
The plan has no Democratic support, so the best that both sides can hope for now is that a bipartisan gang of 6 senators working to solve the same problem can come up with something both sides can get behind. Katie?
Nancy Cortez, thank you, Nancy. In other political news, shortly after Donald Trump said he was thinking about running for president, he appeared on a very unpresidential and raunchy cable TV roast. Then he drew a lot of attention by questioning whether President Obama was born in the United States. So many are asking, is Trump's flirtation with the presidential run about public policy or publicity? Here's Jan Crawford.
He's the big talking billionaire who's talking more than ever.
The United States is becoming the laughing stock of the world.
Donald Trump is talking a lot about Donald Trump, even his failed marriages.
It's very difficult for a woman to be married to me because I work. I work all the time.
And he's saying things most politicians don't. But that famous candor also can be a problem.
I have a great relationship with the blacks. I've always had a great relationship with the blacks.
Is there a Muslim problem in the world?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I don't notice Swedish people knocking down the World Trade Center.
Then there's his focus on President Obama's citizenship.
He hasn't shown his birth certificate. He shows a piece of paper that has nothing to do with a birth certificate.
Never mind that the president produced a certificate of live birth, and it's a widely discredited issue, and one the other Republicans have all but discarded.
Facts and Donald Trump do not always coincide, and he doesn't need to. He's not a public official who has to be held to a higher standard.
Everything about Donald Trump is exaggerated. His reality TV shows,
You're fired.
the beauty queens, that hair, and his gold-plated real estate empire. Now he's talking about the nation's most famous piece of real estate, and no one knows what to make of it.
What is he doing? What is his objective?
Could all this be some sinister plot to split up the Republican vote?
Some people think that he's actually running at the behest of Democrats.
But despite all the Trump talk, odds are he won't actually run. If he gets in the race, Trump will have to open up his financial records, something he might not want to do with his complicated financial past. Whatever's driving him, a poll this week had him tied for first for the Republican nomination. It's true, early polls are mainly about name recognition, and everyone knows the name Trump. But there is a message behind Trump's rise. Voters aren't satisfied with what they're getting from the other candidates or from Washington. Jan Crawford, CBS News, Washington.
And still ahead here on the CBS Evening News, from the ruins of Haiti to rural America, a family's new life 1 year after the quake. But up next, dangerous drug-resistant bacteria now being found in meat and poultry. We like to think that the food we eat, the food we feed our families, is safe. But a study out today says drug-resistant bacteria are turning up in meat and poultry at grocery stores nationwide. Jim Axelrod has more now on a health risk we first told you about last year.
For the last 2 years, Dr. Lance Price has been on patrol.
I am that guy walking down the aisles of the grocery stores, buying every different brand of pork chops that I can find.
He's been tracking some of the most dangerous bacteria in our food supply. Dr. Price is one of many scientists who suspect that 21 million pounds of antibiotics fed to healthy animals on farms to promote growth are teaching bacteria to outsmart antibiotics, creating drug-resistant strains of infections like staph.
Thousands of animals tightly packed into unhygienic quarters, given regular doses of antibiotics. It's a perfect scenario for drug-resistant bacteria to grow.
Dr. Price's team tested 136 meat and poultry samples from grocery stores nationwide and found 47% contaminated with staph. Even more troubling, more than half the bacteria were resistant to at least 3 classes of antibiotics routinely used to treat skin, blood, and respiratory infections in humans.
The biggest thing that came out of this study was the recognition that multi-drug resistant staph is a routine contaminant of our food supply.
Even though staph can be killed by cooking meat at the proper temperature, it still poses a risk.
If I was sitting here handling a piece of poultry and I was doing it on this counter and then I didn't properly clean it up, I am then making my baby's bottle. I have the potential of contaminating whatever bacteria is in the meat on the baby bottle and giving it directly to the baby and the baby being sick.
So we could end up seeing the baby here because
Correct.
of
because of the poultry bought in the supermarket.
Correct.
One recent study found nationwide more than 50% of all skin and soft tissue staph infections were antibiotic resistant. And to understand why that number keeps rising, today's study says, look no further than the farm. Jim Axelrod, CBS News, New York.
Greg Mortensen, author of the bestseller 3 Cups of Tea, has raised tens of millions of dollars for his charity, which builds schools in Pakistan and Afghanistan. But sources tell 60 Minutes some of the most dramatic stories in his book and speeches are not true, including one about being captured by the Taliban. And there are questions about where the money he raises is going. Steve Croft will have the results of his investigation this Sunday on 60 Minutes. We'll be right back. The search for perfect hair can be challenging, expensive, or worse. Michelle Miller reports 2 new studies say some treatments can cause hair to fall out, while others can make you sick.
At salons everywhere, women swear by Brazilian keratins, treatments that deliver a drop-dead gorgeous do. Why did you do it?
Because in this humid weather, then I turn into a chia pet.
The sleek, smooth celebrity looks cost a few hundred.
Awesome.
But last for months.
So excited.
But some of the hair smoothing products contain formaldehyde, a chemical the EPA considers a carcinogen. This week, OSHA, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, recommended stylists stop using products with formaldehyde, which goes by a number of different names. Stylist George Allen Patricio offers a gas mask to clients worried about the fumes.
You don't have a problem using these products knowing they have formaldehyde in them?
Well, they say they're formaldehyde-free, and I believe them.
But regulators found the toxin even in some products labeled formaldehyde-free. The Trio Salon in Chicago is now switching brands. OSHA's been in twice to measure formaldehyde levels in the store's air.
Most of these treatments contain a small amount of formaldehyde in there. It's important that OSHA find it safe.
It's the second warning this week to women about the price of so-called perfect hair. A study by the Cleveland Clinic found that hair weaves that are too tight are a culprit in causing baldness and scarring in nearly 30% of African-American women.
When they come like this, I hand over the box of tissues and I talk to them about different wigs that they can get. It's done. It's done.
Wow, what do you have there? Is that a bucket of relaxer?
In the documentary Good Hair, comedian Chris Rock put the $8 billion black beauty care industry under the microscope, watching chemicals used in hair products dissolve metal.
So that can's got a good purr.
Maybe the hottest new trend in hair care will be one that comes warning-free. Michelle Miller, CBS News, New York.
Now, did you ever take a close look at Lady Liberty's hair? An eagle-eyed stamp collector did, and that's how he knew the lady on the new Forever stamp is an imposter. Different hair, different eyes, too, than the lady who graces New York Harbor. It turns out the stamp was drawn from a photo of a Statue of Liberty replica at a casino in Las Vegas where Lady Liberty competes for attention with Lady Luck. There is only one Bill Geist. Today, the CBS News correspondent got his very own star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. There to congratulate him was a previous honoree, Lassie. How Bill was chosen to receive that star is quite a tale, and he'll tell it this weekend on Sunday morning. Finally tonight, after the earthquake in Haiti, Americans opened their hearts, adopting more than 1,000 young victims. You may recall Cynthia Bowers profiled a family in Washington state who took in 3 more children. Tonight, she tells us the supersized family is thriving thanks to the American spirit.
Making my life something so beautiful, beautiful.
It's hard to believe just over a year ago, Tama, Davidson, and Lily Baker were shell-shocked survivors of the devastating earthquake in Haiti. The 3 were airlifted to this country with dozens of other orphans, all facing a new life in a strange new land.
I would have never dreamed that they would have come under the circumstances that they came.
Chris and Nat Baker of Colville, Washington, had 2 sons of their own, and 12-year-old Kimberly, who they'd adopted from Haiti 6 years ago. This time, they were bringing home Kimberly's 3 siblings.
We went from 3 kids to 6 kids, and that was just a lot of work. And so I didn't want to be left alone with them. I didn't know what to do and how to keep a track of everybody.
It was just as tough for the children. It meant starting school, learning English, and tentative steps toward making friends. The girls at school welcomed Tama.
When I first saw her, I said, oh, I think she will be my friend. My friend.
Even helping her celebrate her sweet 16. These days, 13-year-old Davidson is marching to a new beat in his very own bedroom.
A thing from Haiti.
8-year-old Lily loves to let loose. But raising 6 children and running an excavation business can be overwhelming.
There's days where you go to bed and you look at each other and you say, what did we do? What were we thinking?
Heavenly Father, Lord, thanks for today.
But the struggles of the past year have brought the family even closer.
The experience for us was phenomenal. I'm glad we did it.
A few months ago, the newest Bakers became U.S. citizens.
Like sunlight burning at midnight.
And while their homeland is in their hearts, they're thankful for a new home. Cynthia Bowers, CBS News, Colville, Washington.
And that is the CBS Evening News. I'm Katie Couric. Thanks for watching this week. I'll see you back here on Monday. Good night.